Hey, everybody. It's another Office Hours with the Gateway founders and our guest, Sarah Browne.
With an E.
Yes. With an E. And an H.
Yes.
Very English of you, I believe. Right? We are here live in Vegas.
We're not live. It's obviously night.
I'm live right now. It's Vegas.
It's nighttime. It's Thursday night.
Post
We're
happy
cheating
hour.
again.
Post MJ BizCon Marijuana Business Conference. 10,000 plus people in attendance this week. Amazing. I think 5,500 last time. This industry is out of control.
Yes.
We are here. We announced Gateway Radar today. We're very excited about this. Yay! It's our focus on the importance of consumer insights, real consumer insights, actual the voice of the consumer, which Sarah's going to talk to. We've learned a lot coming up through Silicon Valley and starting Gateway. Nothing really beats the voice of your consumer. It's really the only way to build a product nowadays. If you're out of touch with your consumer, you are out of touch with, well, the future of your company. So think about that.
And your product.
Yeah.
And your product. A few logistical things. Hashtag GatewayOH.
Gateway OH.
Click the whatever fucking button it is at the top of Facebook.
Already dropping F-bombs? Okay.
Right?
Vegas, we can
I think it's, somewhere at the top, maybe.
Yeah, there's a button.
Follow.
So if you want to know when there's another clusterfuck of an episode, you can...
We're at the Rio, so hopefully this is smoothly, what's it called? Feeding.
But I want Sarah to talk about... I'm going to just hand you the mic.
Wait, no, I'm going to hand her my mic so you can ask her
okay.
more questions. You're good at that.
Okay, go ahead.
So it's completely an honor to be here in Las Vegas with the co-founders of Gateway Incubator.
On a couch in my hotel room, Sarah.
Va-va-voom. And I seem to be the reigning cougar in the room. And I'm very happy to be here because I'm very excited about Gateway Radar. The name came from a very powerful session that we had. And
It's powerful as a metaphor for painful.
painful,
Like, yeah.
painful, well, yeah, there's
No,
that.
it was good. It was a good session.
But it could have been synaptic, okay? So be very glad that
I
it's
liked
Gateway
Synaptic,
Radar.
just for the record.
We know that.
I stand by it being a good name.
Yes, it is a good name, which has been used by like virtually
But it's a hardware
everyone
company.
on Twitter.
Fine. Fuck them.
Yes. So, as everybody probably knows, last week we learned that data is broken. And this is one of the reasons why it's so important to have the Vox Populi, the voice of the people. And that's what Gateway Radar is all about.
So you're referring, just so people, if they watch this in the future,
Oh, yes.
you're referring to
That's
the
really
presidential election,
Yes, I am.
and you're referring to the fact that most of the kind of pundits had it wrong, and the major polls had it wrong. All the quote data that was being trusted turned out to be both.
Questionable.
Well, not accurate
Dubious.
is actually a better, yeah.
Not accurate. Yes. All of the above. And I actually did predict the results of this election, and nobody listened to me.
I actually bet $500 on the results of the election.
You did? Did
Yes.
you win?
Yeah, but I'm not going to collect because it feels bad to collect for.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
It definitely does.
but I feel good about having won the $500 virtually.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's fair.
Hypothetically.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
I was not allowed. Everybody completely ignored me. And essentially, were completely freaked out. And I'm like, I spent a lot of time talking to people, and that's why I could predict this. So if you have a business and you don't talk to your customers or your future customers, and you don't go out there and talk to people, and you're living in this bubble, you could get it wrong. And that's why Gateway Radar is here.
Okay, so I don't think a lot of people understand what consumer insights is or what you're talking about. You're using some big words.
Yes.
Or maybe
I
just some
always do.
words.
I do. Big.
And let's explain to a little.
Okay.
You have a background in this in other industries.
Yes.
Let's
Yes.
explain it a little bit to people.
Okay.
While I drink.
Yes, good, very good. Once upon
Hey, only the best at the Rio. This is
Okay.
this is Mike's Hard Lemonade. Today's show is sponsored by the most manly drink ever.
Yes.
Mike's Hard Lemonade. Mike's Hard Lemonade. Hey, you're supposed to be quiet over there. I'm sorry, Sarah. Go ahead.
That's okay. Once upon a time, there was a thing called qualitative research. And all of the big brands and the big companies basically would go around, and when they had a new product or repositioning or something like that, they would go around and they would talk to actual real people. And they would see these people. They would look at them and hear them talk and hear them express their feelings about the product or whatever. And that was really how it was done for big brands, for decades. And then the world of technology came along, and which was a great thing. But what it meant is that it was easy for people to both harvest data, aggregate data, and rely on it. And it was the great shining, the data god, data is king. And which is fine. And there are some wonderful people doing great things with data. For example, Cy Scott at Headset and Steve Albaran at Confident Cannabis. And so people are doing some really great work. However, they're missing the full picture. They're not getting the full view because who knows who your target is, who knows who your audience is, who knows who your customer is if you're just relying on data. So Gateway Radar is going to be creating something that cannabis really needs, which is a taxonomy. And that's, I'm sorry, that's another big word.
It's different than taxidermy, though, right?
Well, not necessarily. At Microsoft, it was very similar.
I know what taxonomy means, but
Okay,
please explain.
Very good.
I don't.
It is basically it's a structure, an organization. At Microsoft, for example, I worked with their taxonomy for many years, and we had everything from newbies who were enthused, confused beginners, super users, etc. And cannabis desperately needs that. Some sort of an organizational structure to help us understand the customer. And for example, there's a segment that I call the boomerangs. The boomerangs are people like me, and way back, a zillion years ago, many eons, when I was in college, obviously, I was at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, and anybody who knows anything about that knows that it was a very smoky place, very smoky era where I was. But then you leave college and you go through life and you maybe don't think so much about marijuana. Or you have some bad stuff that somebody's cousin's friend of your daughter will sell you. But it isn't top of mind. And then what happens is you discover the cannabis revolution and the new cannabis. And it's not anything like it was in Madison in the 70s. And it has completely changed what we think of. So these boomerangs are coming back to cannabis. But they don't know what it is today. And it has changed 100%.
So, while Ben is playing with the microphone, wait. Can I ask a couple questions?
Yes.
Am I going to have to hand the mic back over to her?
It's okay. Go ahead. You can ask your questions first, Ben. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that this is super interesting because what you're essentially talking about is kind of like very relevant to what we've dealt with in the startup world. We very much understand that there's a bubble that we kind of live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and when people are creating products outside of the Bay Area, it's really important for them to go out. And because they're startups, we're not encouraging them to go hire people necessarily. But we're definitely kicking them in the butt out of the office and getting them to go out and talk to their customers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so one of the I have two. One of the issues, even with trying to leave the bubble, is that so many people, particularly in startups, program to themselves, and they're unable to be objective. And in many cases, they think their target is one thing, and when in fact it's completely another thing. And a story that sometimes I tell, going back a zillion years, when I worked in Perrier. In the day, Perrier was this beautiful green bottle, and it was this wonderful, from the source in Vergès, all these kind of things. And it was positioned like a very, very luxe, classy type of product. And so those of us working at Perrier or working on the advertising really believed kind of the legend. And then we got out and we did ethnography, we did focus groups, we did a bunch of different research, and we discovered, oh, oops, it's not the CEO who's drinking the Perrier. It's his secretary, who is aspirational and trying to look like she's the CEO. And so it was all those folks, the clerks, the secretaries, the admins, whatever you want to call them, they're the ones spending $4 a bottle, while the CEO is getting some soda squirted out of the fountain at the bar. So you can make a massive mistake, and if you do, you have wasted a lot of money.
It's interesting. That's one of our mentors is Phil Libin, who's the founder of Evernote, and one of the things that he recommends, which we don't always necessarily agree with, but I'll repeat it anyway. He recommends that first-time founders, start companies where they are the target demographic,
yes.
Precisely for the reason that it makes it easier to understand who they're selling to because it's them.
Yes.
Which I think there's some truth to that. I'm wondering if you could talk about. There's kind of two aspects that I see potentially relating to what you're talking about. One is that you can go deeper with qualitative data than you can with kind of just collecting analytics.
Yes.
And that's something that I see reflected in how a lot of successful startups, they do it by maybe not formally doing focus groups or anything, but by doing a lot of interaction with their customers. You hear stories about people having long email conversations and getting to know their first customers and really asking why. And it's being able to answer those 5 whys, which you can't really do with just data. So that's one aspect I'd love for you to talk about. And the other is, it seems like if you're just relying on analytical data, you are potentially missing people who you never interact with. Right. And so you're swimming in your own pond, but you don't really know if there's anything else out there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, one of the issues...
Mic to the mouth.
Oh, yes, there we are.
Thank you.
I was so mesmerized by your words.
Right. I'm hypnotic that way.
Yes, you are. One of the issues and with that theory, which is, send everybody out in the streets, talk to the customers, whatever, that is absolutely a really smart thing to do, but it shouldn't be the only thing you do. Because what happens... A lot of people, and I know this from a focus group I just did at Gateway Radar.
Okay.
A lot of people think that essentially what we were doing that night was nothing more than a meetup. And that it was a great conversation, and that's really what it was about. And so people don't see that it really does take, you design the group, you design your recruit, there are all these things that you put into place to make that discussion happen in the right way. And so what happens is, it's called grandmother research, and you basically, call in all your friends and you sit around and talk to them and you think you have answers. And the fact is you have to take the time to recruit the right people, and you have to have a moderator who can be objective. And when you're just having a meetup, and one of your buddies is running it, or you're filling your group full of your friends, everybody's going to be really afraid to say anything negative. So there's that. But you're missing, as you said, you're missing entire groups of people. You need to find out who really is your target.
It seems to me that that's even more important in an emerging market where you don't know who your established customers are yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing about cannabis. And for me, I was very early on in tech, way back in the 80s, and we didn't know what we had there either. We had no clue. And so I was really privileged to watch so many companies that were, startups, whatever, and I watched them grow, and I watched them how they grow. And one of the things that happened is I did 10 years doing market research for Microsoft and Yahoo and E-Trade and all kinds of different people. And they understood that it's really important to bring in objective sources. And I saw the growth that came from that when we'd sit in groups and people would say, I will not buy that, they're the evil empire, not happening. And, over the years, there were so many things that companies needed to learn and needed to face. And it's ever so much easier with the voice of the customer.
So you don't get that kind of they're the evil empire feedback if you're just measuring.
Yeah, you have no idea. I mean, there were products at one point where, and it was around the time when Microsoft was going through all the antitrust stuff. Mm-hmm. So they were in the news all the time, whatever. And there were tons of people who, who refused, they didn't want to buy things. And they really meant it. I mean, they wanted to make a statement. And you can't ignore that. And you need to find out what's really happening instead of seeing a product dying and you have no clue why, and you have a survey that says everybody loves it, but they're not buying it.
Right. Ben, I feel like you might need a microphone here.
He's just been neglected. Oh.
It's not Ben and I. We're not talking. It's Ben's turn to ask.
This is a high-class recording straight to you from
the Rio
Gateway.
Hotel.
Rio. Only the best for our guests.
Ben's got a plastic cup full of scotch.
It's like a thick plastic.
Because he got scotch, and I can't drink scotch.
Would you like some?
Because I had a very bad incident around 1982 with scotch. So
Wow.
don't go near it.
I think that's
Were you guys born then?
81. 81. Yes, thank you. I was 1 year old. I'm a baby. Okay.
The millennial.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes.
Sore subject. Okay, that's another episode.
He's been kicked out of being a millennial.
Yeah,
He's been.
I don't know why Gen Yers were just deleted.
Yes.
I mean, like
You were deleted from
and now they have Gen Z.
Yes.
Which you have Gen X, you have Gen Z, you have millennials. Like you can't just delete Gen Y. That's bullshit.
But we can, and we did.
So Gen Y, stand up strong. Comment below. Show me your support.
Hashtag
We're
Gen
making
Y.
a comeback.
Okay, what's your question?
That's a good question because I completely lost my train of thought. Thank you.
I'm sure it was brilliant. I'm positive.
No, I seriously lost my train of thought.
Okay.
Speak extemporaneously in a brilliant fashion.
Oh, you could do another haiku. You were so good at that.
Okay. No, I just completely lost it. I'm going to hand it back over to you.
Sure. I'll ask you some random questions. So, what makes cannabis unique, and who do you think? This isn't the kind of thing. Just to be honest, right?
Yeah.
It's not the kind of thing we would encourage early stage startups to spend money on because they need to spend money on ramen and rent.
Yes.
Right.
Especially ramen.
So, especially ramen, preferably the chicken flavor. But.
The seasoning pack it out, then you add soy.
Actually, if you go to Ranch 99, you can get the Chinese brand, which is much better than the top ramen. But getting back to my question, who are the customers? I mean, this is something that happens in other industries a lot. Who are the people that you've seen that are interested in this? Because this wasn't just the three of us sitting around doing mental masturbation, deciding what to do. There was a lot of inbound demand. Can you talk about who was asking about this?
Well, what tends to happen is anybody who has been in another industry, I mean, tech being one of them, CPG, food industry, whatever, those folks are all used to doing qualitative research. And I think P&G spends about $400 million a year on doing this type of research.
Wait, say that again.
$400 million.
So we're going to get just a little piece of that.
Yeah.
P&G spends $400 million a year on this?
Yeah. On qualitative resource of all kinds. They have a lot of techniques.
Sure. Not cannabis qualitative research.
No, not cannabis
through radar.
yet.
Right, but soon.
But soon. And so this is something that is very important to the growth of an industry. And I call it essentially insurance, because you've got all these people, whether they're startup, whether they're a bigger brand like Dixie Elixir, which is growing a lot. There are a lot of really wonderful brands. A lot of the privateer brands are mainstreaming, et cetera. So people who've worked in other industries are going to expect this. And it's part of the way that they really vet their products and positioning and branding and all of these kind of things. So as companies grow, they're going to realize that if they don't spend, a zillion years ago, you guys probably remember there was a really horrible series of commercials that Groupon did. And remember the CEO, what was his name? Andrew, whatever. Anyway, they did horrible commercials.
I don't remember this, but
And it was, I
was never a Groupon fan.
Okay.
Oh, I was a huge Groupon fan.
Yeah, I bet you were.
Yeah,
Lots of
you
Groupons.
kind of seem like that.
Yeah, you do.
Oh my god. Guilt.
You are
Rulala.
you are the Groupon persona.
Anyway, there was a series of bad commercials.
Anyways, there's a series of bad commercials, and traditionally, when you spend a lot of money on commercials, because they're very expensive, and this was probably at least a $500,000 campaign. Traditionally, what people do is either the ad agency or the client takes the commercials, whether it's in storyboard form or finished commercial, and they show them to focus groups, basically to do more than a gut check. And so Groupon didn't do this. They could have spent $25,000 on doing a couple of focus groups, which if you're spending $500,000 on your production budget and
probably worth it.
advertising, that might be a good idea. They didn't do this. And the CEO went down fast. Everything was a huge controversy. They were asking people, the CEO to apologize, and he wasn't.
So there were offensive ads as
They
well?
were offensive. They pissed off
But
everyone.
unintentionally offensive.
Yes,
Yeah.
unintentionally. But you know what? And so I remember the guy, his name's Andrew something, and he was like, we all thought they were funny. Well, excuse me, if you have that level of budget, how hard is it going to be to spend a little bit of it finding out if the advertising is offensive? To me, that seems like a no-brainer.
Right.
But what's happened is as people have moved into data, they've forgotten to ask people. So to me, if you're a company that's big enough to do advertising or big enough to have like a booth here at this conference, you ought to spend some of your budget on finding out what your people think about your advertising, your branding, your product. In this focus group we did recently, there's a company that was very, very well thought of, and my respondents took a look at the ingredients and they were like, I'm not buying this. Mm-hmm. And in another industry, something beyond cannabis, a more mature industry, automatically people would have taken the packaging into some kind of group. They would have done, ethnography, and we would have been in people's kitchens looking
Right.
around to see what ingredients and what products they have there. But this company didn't do that. And so now they have, they've accepted a lot of funding, and they are able, to move ahead. And boy, are they going to be surprised when an awful lot of people, especially here in California, they don't want to hear about high fructose corn syrup.
Right.
They don't want to see that on a label. So even if you think you know everything, which most of the tech bros do,
Right.
ask.
You were looking at him.
Hey, wait a minute.
You were
My
looking at
head
him.
was swiveling.
Yes, but I do know everything. She was just, I'm the
Exactly.
exception to the rule.
Yeah. Because
Sarah
he's a
knows.
Groupon guy.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. What
We
do you
can
think?
ignore
What do you
whatever he says.
expect?
The Mikeless guy.
Yeah. There's a reason you don't have a microphone right now.
Two, nothing else.
But I mean, that's the thing, is that I've been doing this for a lot of years, and I still, when I go into a new project and new product and whatever, I have to have beginner's mind. I can't bring all of that experience in with me, which will then force me to, take a position. And you need to find out what the people think. And if you do that, you are going to have a much greater chance of product and business success.
Do you think that some of the larger CPG companies in particular, outside of cannabis, are going to start doing this kind of research as a prelude to getting into cannabis once it's federally legal?
Yes, I absolutely. I know I keep doing that. I'm so
okay.
used to having it around my neck.
Sorry.
See,
we're
I know.
ghetto.
Inferior.
Should get lapel mics.
I know.
Don't
I
make
know.
my
And
job
get them
harder.
in colors. That would be so good. I already know because I've heard from some of my former clients at the big packaged goods companies kind of sniffing around. People started reading a couple of my articles about, is cannabis the next internet, et cetera. And so it's really amazing the amount of curiosity there is out there from, the stodgiest businesses. And because everybody is looking for a new path to growth. And if you're a big, CPG, if you're, Kraft, any of these folks, what's it going to be? I mean, in many cases, they can't just keep churning out the same old brand extensions. I mean, all that is getting very tight.
Right. And all the
again.
mature businesses, this is a kind of a common thing, right? They all hit a point of stagnation with their growth, and it's very difficult to continue growing. And you've got, at that point, most of them are public. They've got investors and their shareholders that want growth, and it's very hard to claw growth out of a market like that. So anything that is a potential avenue to get them to expand their market is certainly something that they're looking at.
Many of the public companies obviously have issues with what are their shareholders going to have to say if they jump into cannabis. But, eventually these folks are going to have to start checking it out, if nothing else. So I anticipate hearing from some of these CPG companies basically sniffing around and basically sending us into some form of qualitative research that, they're going to want to ask their customers, what do you think if we do something with cannabis? What if, we create a coffee, a wine, whatever, all of the possibilities out there. The beauty folks, the proprietary drug folks, everybody's going to have to be checking into that because they're going to look at sales.
Right, even if they start with something like CBD.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
which is,
Exactly. I have heard from some of my big beauty folks, and they are really chomping at the bit to hear more about CBD.
Interesting. So I feel like this has kind of been a promo for Radar, so I want to wrap up the Radar stuff. Is there a website for Gateway Radar, gatewayradar.com? Is that it? What is it?
Yeah, so
Created by
No.
Design Guru.
The little elves in the workshop. Gatewayradar.com, at Gateway Radar, at Gateway Radar, at Gateway Radar. Everywhere you go, just type it in.
But Sarah is the person in charge at Gateway Radar.
She is,
So,
and I just want to pimp Sarah out a little bit. She is phenomenal. We're
we are
lucky.
in Vegas, so pimp her out. Go ahead.
Good.
We were lucky enough to meet Sarah early on in the launch of Gateway. She found us interesting for some reason or another. And she wrote a little article on us. She's an amazing writer. She's been in many publications. She's a LinkedIn contributor.
Yes.
What's it called? Is that what it's? Influencer.
Well, I don't know what
I've been rejected, but I probably don't deserve being
I
on there
didn't know
anyways.
that was a thing. You can be like an influencer.
You can.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She, where we get like 100 people to view our articles, she gets 10,000.
Wow.
I get lost.
Yeah.
Nice.
But on top of
jealous.
that, she's done the market research, she's done the consumer insight studies, she's worked with Fortune 500 companies. So, bringing that, she's also a very active mentor, both in Gateway and Canopy, and other programs, I'm sure. And she's been a founder herself. She participated in, I don't know if you know this, she participated in the first incubator period.
Really?
AOL,
What was this?
AOL Greenhouse.
AOL
right?
Greenhouse.
Yeah.
Wow.
1995.
Yeah.
95.
I was in the first group of
Wow.
First group of
along
partners.
with the Motley Fools and some other people.
Oh, Motley Fools.
Wow.
It's actually a very good blog to follow. They have a lot of insights on the technology industry, just Silicon Valley in general.
Interesting.
Actually, they've expanded upon that, right? It's like kind of just market movement.
I am going to convince Tom and David to do a little cannabis piece.
All right.
And they've written some things about it so far, but we need more from them. Now that Prop 64 has passed, and so, hey, Tom and David, remember me?
Because they're watching.
Yeah, well, we'll tag them. So awesome on Gateway Radar, awesome on Sarah, with an H. But we're here in Vegas. I'm going to ask you a question and then just hand you the mic. What's been going on? How's the show? Like, any interesting things you've seen?
Yeah, because
like,
we've been kind of like locked up in meetings,
Yeah.
so we haven't seen a whole lot. But you've been pretty
You've
active.
been on the show floor. Tell us about the show floor.
It is fascinating because it is so much bigger than last year, which makes for craziness, but it also makes for a lot more fun because checking out some of the products. And what I'm seeing this year that I really, really like is design is rearing its beautiful head.
All right.
And I saw some wonderful work out of a San Francisco company called Lola. And I think it's called Lola Land, something like that. And they brought in an artist that I think is from Costa Rica originally, and they've designed beautiful packaging, and they're giving away these gorgeous bags. So anybody, if you're still cruising around Vegas, go there and get one of their great bags. Everything is getting, people are getting branding.
Yeah.
And
Kiva's booth is beautiful.
Kiva, I had the best time. Kiva, I'm addicted
You just
to.
unlocked the beast. She's the biggest Kiva fan.
Be still my heart.
They get branding. They're really good.
Oh,
Christy.
my God. Oh, my God.
Number one fan over here.
I know. I embarrassed myself at the booth today.
What did you talk to Christy? Is she
No,
there?
she wasn't there.
Okay.
But I talked to this other guy who was trying. He was trying to explain the products. He had a little thing of all the Irishman cream and the terabytes and the blueberry and the da-da-da. He had all this stuff, and he was trying to explain it to this woman standing there. And I just kept going, oh, my God, that's really good. You got to try that. Oh, my God, get the terabytes. But people were really loving it. And it is something that is rare in edibles, which is it really tastes like chocolate. You can tell there's weed there, kind of, but it's such a high quality chocolate, which apparently they get. It's from France. They're getting this wonderful chocolate. And you can really tell the difference. And I've tried lots of the chocolate bars, and I've tried lots of edibles, and this is a standout. And their booth was wonderful, and there were a lot of very happy people there. So I'm noticing that people are, traditionally, and last year I went crazy because everything was that green granola kind of, everybody had a leaf, every logo was green and whatever. People are really trying to step out. Not a lot are succeeding, but I have noticed that there is a little bit of an uptick in that. A lot of the products here are, specialty products for cultivators, et cetera. And that's kind of fun to look at because it's getting huge.
A lot of technology.
Yeah.
I did see that. Yeah.
And there was more consumer facing this year, which was nice. But so many things are coming out, so many new products. What people think cannabis is archaic. Now, with all these new products, you can basically find something for virtually every health, wellness, fitness concept, and the edibles exploding. But they didn't have real ones here.
Yeah.
Because we can't. So.
Right. So the days of selling your tech company or something and buying a grow facility and then all of a sudden creating products, probably pretty limited.
I think it's getting tougher and tougher. And I mean, this year there were a lot more suits here than there were last year. And a lot more sales conversations, really much more complicated. I think in certain states, you could probably try to do that in very newly legalized states, but there are investors swarming over everything. I mean, you better be smart about it and get the right advice, because there are lots of people out there giving very bad advice.
Yeah. What about the talks or ancillary sessions? Kind of, I know you attended the women's breakfast.
Yes. Yes. The women's breakfast was just awesome. And great people there. So many women there exploring where they fit in the industry, what they want to do next, how to use their wonderful backgrounds in this new industry. The thing I love is that everybody wants to help each other. This is a very huggy business. Everybody that I saw, Hua comes up and gives me a big hug, all the Canopy boys. I think we're all so grateful that this is happening. And there are lots of folks who have been around for a while and trying to make it happen. So the fact that it's evolving, everybody wants to viralize this happy feeling. And that's what we saw at the breakfast today. And I really, really applaud, because Cassandra was the one who was basically running it. She's the CEO.
Yeah. Great job, by the way. Cassandra Farrington, speaker at Elevate. She's just done an incredible job. We ran into her at the end of the event today.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I mean, just an amazing, amazing job. I can't imagine throwing an event that last year had 5,500 people, projecting it to be 7,500 people today, and then all of a sudden overshooting 10,000. That's incredible.
And the lines of the people that had to be turned away, I mean, it was craziness on Wednesday, the first day, because there was just no more room. It was amazing. But their whole team has done an incredible job. There's a guy named Browne that I met who absolutely went to the ends of the earth to make sure my badge worked, because it kept setting off alarms. I mean, there were just a lot of people.
Well.
But they have done a killer job. Tess Woodsmeyer, it was amazing. When my badge kind of exploded, like on the first day, she actually escorted me into the keynote so I could see it. The keynote on the first day was Chris Walsh, who's the publisher, I think, of MJ Business Daily, and he did this prediction thing, and he compared it to his predictions from last year. And he was pretty dead on. I mean, the guy's a crystal ball, or a magic 8-ball, as we say. But he had some really solid information that I wish everybody could get a hold of that deck, because the deck was really awesome.
Maybe we should try to get a hold of it then.
I know.
All right.
Yes.
Awesome. Well.
Wait, I want to say one thing.
Oh.
Okay, and here's the one thing. I hear you guys have an anniversary coming.
Oh, we do.
Oh, yeah.
It's in like 3 days. Gateway is 3 days shy of being 1 year old. Only 1 year.
2 days when they see the video.
Longest and fastest year of my life, I must say. I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've met incredible people. It's been a wild ride and nothing more rewarding. And I feel like last week was just validation that we chose well and, hanging our hats on the cannabis industry, where last year people were calling us crazy and like shooting us down. And now they're saying you look like geniuses. And I'm like, there's a lot of people.
Because you are.
Well, there's a lot of people here before us. We looked at it unbiasedly. And we just saw that this industry had a sense of inevitability about it. And, that is, for me, that is like the one thing I look in for like a founder, Like when we're evaluating whether we're going to invest with them, work with them, it's like if they don't have that sense of inevitability, it's not worth it. And this industry definitely has it. And like you said, very huge, loving community. It's amazing. And it's been the best year of my professional life. I can honestly say
I'm
that.
going to cry.
Yeah, I mean, I still feel like a newcomer in many ways, but I think when we first came in, someone, I don't remember who it was, so I'm sorry, but someone said to us, well, the industry moves in dog years, so we're kind of turning 7 in a couple days.
7?
But,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, I agree. It's been an amazing year, and frankly, I'm more excited about next year. I mean, we had a great first cohort. I'm super excited about our second cohort, and I'm actually really excited about what's going to happen next year with Gateway now that we have all these states legalized and we are starting to get a little bit more mainstream interest.
Yep.
It's super exciting. I think, and they're moving this conference to the convention center next year. So, I mean, that's a sign.
Yeah. And if you would like to help us celebrate, December 9th, it's a Friday, at our office. No. My birthday's January.
His birthday's in February.
January.
Whatever.
It's
See,
cool.
I know him so well.
God, you're the best coach
Whatever.
ever.
Something in the beginning of the year.
December 9th, Friday, Gateway, Jack London Square, Oakland, 7 p.m.-ish.
Yeah,
Come help
sure.
us celebrate. There'll be a toast and just a good time, right?
We should say one more thing, though, because people, hopefully, if I can get this up online at the right time tomorrow morning.
Because we're not live, actually. Yeah, that's
right. At noon. Is it at noon tomorrow? Noon on Friday.
Oh, yes.
We've partnered with Poseidon Asset Management. We're doing a pitch.
Morgan,
bootcamp.
Emily, you guys rock.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much. We're doing a basically pitch coaching session. I know Friday's kind of a day where a lot of people are leaving, so there might not be a lot of people around. So maybe you'll get some one-on-one sessions. I don't know. We'll see. We're prepared for either one-on-one sessions or a session with a lot of people. Or frankly, Ben and I can chat to ourselves for several hours.
I also haven't meditated in a couple days, so that could work too.
Either way. But where is it? Suite X?
Yeah.
Suite X.
Which is the Poseidon Suite from noon to sometime.
4-ish, I
noon
think.
to 4-ish.
I think they'll kick us out.
Yeah.
And then it's Pranav's birthday. Happy birthday, Pranav.
Happy birthday, Pranav.
I think that's probably good. We should stop rambling.
Yeah.
All right. Vegas out.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, guys.